let's start by preparing our apple filling. I have 3 apples. I washed it and cut it in 4 pieces to remove the middle of the apple with the seeds. I did not remove the skin, and it's up to you. If you want to remove it, you are welcome to do so. If the skin of your apple is pretty tough, I would suggest to remove it. Otherwise, it's just a preference. I like the feeling texture of the apple, so I'm actually cutting in the bigger pieces. The sizes are not really crucial in here. It's up to you and your preferences as well. So let's cut 3 apples. If you want a more filling, you can use more apples. Once we are done with cutting apples, put it in a bowl and add 3 tablespoons of sugar. You can also put more sugar, less sugar, it's to your taste. I personally like sweet filling, so 3 tablespoons were just enough for me. You can add cinnamon here. I used vanilla sugar here, so cinnamon is good, vanilla is good. You can even add some raisins if you would like. Okay, let's get the pan and put all the apples in the pan. Make sure you scrape all the sugar so nothing left in the bowl, and put it on a stove. As you can see, the apples don't have much of a juice just yet. Cover it. It's hot. Here you go. You can see these apples are very juicy and they produce a lot of juice, and it's good. It's good. So our goal is to evaporate all those juices. And as you can see, the apples are much softer, less juices. Our filling is ready. Okay, now we're gonna get prepare tangzhong. It's called. This technique is used in Japanese bread, and it is used very wide now in a dough, yeast dough. So I get 3 grams of all-purpose flour, added 150 milliliters of milk. Make sure you're adding milk little by little so you don't form clumps in the mixture. Just mix it, mix it, mix it until it's all well mixed with the milk. And we put all the milk in a saucepan, and it is time to put it in on the stove to cook it. When you're cooking it, make sure you are mixing it all the time so the clumps are not forming. The mixture is gonna become more like mashed potato mushy texture. Let it cool down, put it in a bowl and let it cool completely. Do not use hot tangzhong in your dough just because it's gonna kill the yeast. We don't want that. Let it sit, cover with the plastic. Make sure the plastic is touching the mixture so the skin is not forming on top. Let it cool. Now we're gonna make a pre-ferment. In a lukewarm milk, we're gonna add yeast, a teaspoon of sugar from the total amount of the sugar that called the recipe. And we're gonna add 4 tablespoons of flour, also from the total amount that called for the recipe. Mix it really well. Make sure there are no clumps until it's all smooth. Cover it with the plastic and leave it for 10-15 minutes. Now move on to the dough itself. So we're gonna put all remaining sugar, teaspoon of salt, eggs. I have one full egg and one egg white from a second egg. And I'm gonna add a sunflower oil. And we're gonna mix, mix, mix until it's all combined. Here's the pre-ferment. It's very fluffy texture, mousse-like texture. So we're gonna add that to our egg and oil mixture. Now it is time to add tangzhong. I'm adding a cold tangzhong a little by little as well, so it's easier to mix. Mixing it until it's all combined. And now it's time to add some flour. I'm adding a flour little by little. I do not put all the flour at once just because sometimes you need more flour, sometimes you need less flour, depends on the flour you use. So the best way is to add little by little and add flour as needed. I'm mixing in a bowl the dough, and once it is hard to mix it with the spatula, I move it to the table and mixing on the table. As you see, the dough is a little bit sticky, so I'm adding the flour little by little on the table and mixing the dough. The dough will be a little bit sticky at the end, but don't overdo, don't over add, like don't add too much of a flour. Just make sure the dough is, it could be a little tacky, but don't make a dough very hard to knead, so because it's gonna be very hard once it's baked. So here is the texture of the dough I got at the end. It's a little bit of tacky, but you can work with it. So that's enough of the flour. We're gonna, here you go. We're gonna put some sunflower oil in a bowl so our dough is not sticking to the bowl when it's fermenting. Add the dough to the bowl. And cover with the plastic. So we're gonna ferment it for 40 minutes at first. 40 minutes passed, we're gonna let all the gases that formed in a dough move. We're gonna move the dough around, degas the dough. Form it in a bowl and leave it for another about 30 minutes, 30-40 minutes to finish its fermenting. Now the dough is ready. Look at this puffy, light, and soft dough. I'm gonna divide the dough in 12 pieces to form 12 pastries, I guess. So first I've checked the weight of the dough and then I divide it in 12. So I'm just dividing the it is good to weight each piece just so you know the pieces are all the same and it will help the dough bake evenly. So now all the 12 pieces are divided. We're gonna make a balls. To form the balls, I'm pinching all the sides to the center. Put it on a table and roll, 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 roll as in a ball, just like that. Let's do it again. We're gonna pinch all the sides in the center. Put it on a table and with your hand, roll it in between table and your hand. Just like that. All 12 bowls are ready. We're gonna leave it for 10-15 minutes to rest. For sure, cover it with the plastic. 10 minutes pass, and we're gonna start rolling the dough in circles. Rolling the dough, I guess. Rolling the dough, right? Flatten with your fingers first so it's easier to roll, and roll it just like that. Repeat it 12 times. Now we'll get the circle. Flatten with your fingers again, just because the dough tend to grow, I guess. Put the filling in, and what I do, I pinch it in the center first and then go from both sides to the center. Make pinching, pinching, pinching. Make sure you pinch really, really well, so the filling is not leaking. And here you go. This is our first пиріжок. Now cover with the plastic and leave it for another 30 minutes to rise. Now we're gonna do egg wash. Remaining egg yolk, and I'm gonna add some milk to it. I'm adding a little bit more milk. See, it's kind of liquid falling off. 30 minutes later, we're gonna apply egg wash to all our pastries. Preheat the oven for 350 Fahrenheit. Make sure you put your pastries in preheated oven. And it's ready to go. Bake for 20-25 minutes. And here you have it. They're golden, they're pretty, they're fluffy, they raised a little bit in the oven. Here's a test. I'm gonna just show what's inside for you guys. The dough raised, it's fluffy, it's light, it's good. Try it.